the Supreme Leader Khamenei is dead.
After the martyrdom of Ali Khamenei, many analysts claim that the shield of the Middle East has already been broken. The Supreme Leader is dead, and what is about to happen next is something the world may not be fully prepared for. According to some geopolitical observers, this moment could mark the beginning of a new and extremely dangerous phase in global politics. Some believe that this is the time for the birth of what is often referred to as Greater Israel, a controversial geopolitical and ideological concept that, according to critics, aims to expand influence across the Middle East and beyond. In this narrative, it is described as an ideology that seeks to dominate strategic regions, reshape borders, and gain control over key political and economic corridors of the world. And, according to supporters of this viewpoint, these are not merely modern political claims. They say that the roots of these ideas go back centuries and are even connected to ancient religious interpretations and prophecies. Some people believe that a 1400-year-old prophecy mentioned in Islamic traditions is now beginning to unfold before the eyes of the world. Among those who spoke extensively about these ideas was the Islamic scholar Isra Ahmed. Years ago, he warned about the dangers of global power struggles in the Middle East and how certain events could eventually connect in ways that would reshape the world order. Today, some of his followers believe that the dots he spoke about are slowly connecting. They argue that the developments in the Middle East, the tensions between powerful nations, and the rapid changes in alliances are all signs of a much larger geopolitical transformation. According to this narrative, the project of Greater Israel is not simply about territory, but about long-term strategic dominance in one of the most important regions on Earth. And within this interpretation, another idea often appears: the preparation for the arrival of Dajjal, known in Islamic tradition as the Antichrist. Some believe that global political structures and regional power shifts could eventually create the conditions described in religious texts. In this narrative, the question often raised is, what country could become the biggest obstacle to these ambitions? Many commentators point toward Pakistan. Pakistan is considered a major factor in the strategic balance of power because it is the only Muslim majority country that possesses nuclear weapons. Its military capability and nuclear deterrence make it an important player in global security discussions. Former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has often spoken about the security challenges faced by Israel. Some analysts interpret certain statements as evidence that countries like Iran and Pakistan are viewed as significant strategic concerns. According to this perspective, Iran has historically been one of the biggest barriers to Israel's regional ambitions. The rivalry between Israel and Iran has shaped much of the Middle East's modern geopolitical landscape. But if Iran's political structure were to weaken or collapse, some analysts believe that the geopolitical focus could shift toward another powerful state in the Muslim world. And in that scenario, Pakistan would likely come into the spotlight. However, this situation did not begin suddenly. The roots of these geopolitical tensions stretch far back into history. To understand the idea of Greater Israel, some historians argue that we must go back to the late 19th century, when modern political Zionism first began to emerge. One of the key figures associated with this movement was Theodor Herzl, who is widely considered the founder of modern Zionism. Herzl envisioned the creation of a Jewish homeland where Jews could live safely after centuries of persecution in Europe. Although Herzl's main focus was the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine, later political thinkers expanded the idea of territorial influence in different ways. One such figure was Ze'ev Jabotinsky, a Zionist leader who advocated the idea that the Jewish state should control both sides of the Jordan River. These ideas eventually influenced political debates during the early 20th century. In 1947, the United Nations proposed a partition plan to divide the land of Palestine into two separate states, one Jewish and one Arab. Israel's first Prime Minister, David Ben-Gurion, accepted this plan. even though it did not provide the full territory many Zionists had hoped for. Some critics later claimed that this acceptance was viewed by certain leaders as only the first step toward expanding territorial control in the future. Soon after the partition plan, war broke out in the region. The events of 1948 led to massive displacement of Palestinians, an event widely known as the Nakba. Later, during the Six-Day War in 1967, Israel captured additional territories including the West Bank, Gaza Strip, East Jerusalem, and the Sinai Peninsula. These events significantly expanded Israeli control beyond its original borders. Today, the issue of Israeli settlements in the West Bank remains one of the most controversial political disputes in the world. Supporters argue that these settlements are part of Israel's historical and security claims. Critics argue that they represent an expansionist policy that threatens the possibility of a future Palestinian state. Regardless of perspective, the conflict continues to shape Middle Eastern politics. Meanwhile, Iran has long been one of Israel's strongest regional rivals. For decades, the rivalry between Iran and Israel has influenced alliances, conflicts, and military strategies across the region. But if Iran were to experience internal instability or political transformation, the balance of power could shift dramatically. In discussions about Iran's future, one name sometimes appears: Reza Pahlavi, the son of Iran's last monarch. He has presented himself as a supporter of democratic reform and has said that he could act as a transitional leader if Iran were to move toward a different political system. However, history shows that political transitions involving external powers often lead to complicated outcomes. A historical example occurred in 1882 when Britain entered Egypt, claiming the intervention would be temporary. Yet, British influence remained there for decades. Another example occurred in Iran in 1953, when Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh was removed in a coup supported by foreign intelligence agencies, and the monarchy was restored. Events like these have shaped skepticism about foreign involvement in political change. If Iran were to lose its strategic strength, some analysts believe that the geopolitical sport for update could shift toward Pakistan. Pakistan's nuclear program, developed under the leadership of Abdul Qadir Khan, was designed as a deterrent against external threats. Former Pakistani leader Mohammad Zia-ul-Haq once described Pakistan's nuclear capability as a defensive asset, not only for Pakistan, but also for the broader Muslim world. Statements like these contributed to the perception that Pakistan's nuclear weapons carry significance beyond its own national security. Another important factor is Pakistan's missile technology. Pakistan's Shaheen-1 reportedly has a range of approximately 2,750 kilometers. This means that many regions in the Middle East fall within its strategic reach. From a military perspective, this capability inevitably influences how other countries view Pakistan's role in regional security. However, military power is only one aspect of global politics. Economic strength, technological development, alliances, diplomacy, and international cooperation also shape the balance of power. Still, in many narratives circulating across political discussions and media platforms, Pakistan is often portrayed as a key player in the future geopolitical equation. And according to some religious interpretations, the story does not end with politics. Islamic traditions describe a future period of great turmoil before the end of times. These traditions speak about the emergence of Dajjal, a figure who will claim divine authority and deceive large portions of humanity. Some scholars believe that before these events occur, the city of Jerusalem will become extremely powerful and prosperous. Eventually, according to Islamic belief, Imam Mahdi will appear, followed by the descent of Prophet Isa, who will defeat Dajjal near Jerusalem. In this interpretation, the very system that appears powerful today could eventually become the place where its own downfall begins. Some religious texts also mention a great global conflict, known as Armageddon, or in Islamic terminology, Al-Malhama Al-Kubra. During this period, the world is believed to divide into two sides, one representing worldly power and the other representing truth. Some narrations mention that armies carrying black flags from the region of Khorasan, which includes parts of modern Afghanistan and Pakistan, will march toward Jerusalem. Because of these interpretations, some commentators believe that Pakistan and Afghanistan could hold symbolic importance in future religious narratives. Scholars like Israr Ahmed often suggested that Pakistan's creation may have a deeper historical role in the broader story of the Muslim world. Whether one views these ideas as prophecy, political analysis, or symbolic interpretation, they continue to influence discussions about the future. But one message appears again and again in these narratives. History does not protect those who ignore the signs of their time. History protects those who wake up before it is too late.